You don't drift into fire. You choose it daily. The people who walk in power, peace, and presence, they're not lucky, they're consistent. There are habits, small, sacred choices, that pull you into the current of the Holy Spirit until His voice becomes louder than the noise, and His fire burns through everything that used to hold you back. Want to know why some carry a glow you can't explain? It's not chance. It's these 6 habits, and they change everything. There is a kind of beauty the world cannot see, and it begins not in action, but in surrender. Before the sun rises, before the noise comes flooding in, there is a sacred moment, a holy invitation waiting in the quiet. That first breath of the day is not just a routine. It is a gift, a divine opening, a gentle whisper from heaven saying, "Will you let me lead today?" And how you answer that question will shape everything that follows. To grow close to the Holy Spirit, to carry His fire, you must learn the art of beginning again, every single morning, with an open heart and empty hands. It's not about having a perfect prayer life or a flawless morning routine. It's about waking up and choosing to let go of your own plans, your own control, and your own strength. It's the moment you say, "I don't want to be the one in charge. I want you to take over. I want to be led, not driven." It's such a simple thing, yet it carries the weight of heaven behind it. The world teaches you to wake up and get busy, to chase productivity, to start running the race before you've even caught your breath. But the Holy Spirit doesn't move in chaos. He doesn't fill hearts that are already full of their own agendas. He waits for those who come with a whisper, who say, "I can't do this without you. I don't want to." When you wake up and immediately go to Him, when you surrender the day before you even live it, something shifts in the unseen realm. You've just placed your time, your emotions, your opportunities, all of it, into the hands of the one who sees the beginning from the end. And when you do that, you're not just surviving your day, you're walking in alignment with divine timing, divine purpose, divine favor. That's where the fire begins to burn. That's where the intimacy deepens. Because the Holy Spirit doesn't just want your prayers. He wants your trust, and trust looks like surrender, not just when things are hard, not just when you feel desperate, but every single day in the ordinary moments when no one's watching. That's where intimacy is cultivated. That's where power is born. You don't need long, complicated words. You don't need the perfect environment. All you need is a yielded heart. A heart that wakes up and says, "Holy Spirit, what do you want today?" That one question will take you further than any schedule or strategy, because now you're not relying on your understanding. You're leaning into His voice. You're asking for His leading, and when you ask, He answers. He's not far. He's not silent. He's just waiting for the invitation, and that invitation is clearest in the morning, before the world grabs hold of your attention, before the headlines and the tasks and the distractions start calling your name. That first hour belongs to Him, not because He demands it, but because He knows it's the only way you'll walk through your day without being pulled under by it. There's a stillness in the early hours, a sacred hush that welcomes the Spirit like a soft breeze. And when you give Him that space, you don't just hear Him. You start to feel Him in everything, in your conversations, in your decisions, in your reactions. You're no longer leading your own life. You've stepped into the flow of something bigger, something wiser, something eternal. This is not about being perfect. It's not about always getting it right. It's about positioning yourself daily, consistently, humbly. It's about saying, "I'm not enough on my own, and I don't want to pretend that I am." That kind of honesty draws the Spirit close. That kind of brokenness becomes the foundation for supernatural strength. Because when you surrender, you make space for fire to fall. And yes, that fire may not always look dramatic. It may not come with lightning or noise. Sometimes it's just peace that lingers. Sometimes it's a knowing in your spirit that you're not walking alone. And other times that fire will ignite something in you so powerful you'll find yourself speaking, moving, loving with a boldness you didn't know you had. But it all begins in the morning, in that first breath, that first choice, the moment when you decide that today again you will surrender, today again you will let him lead, today again you will lay it all down so that heaven can rise up within you. And if you do that every day, just that one habit, you won't have to chase the fire will find you. There's something sacred that happens in silence, something the world has forgotten but the soul remembers. In a world that shouts, rushes, scrolls, and fills every empty moment with noise, the Holy Spirit still chooses to speak in stillness, not because he's quiet, but because he's holy, and holiness never competes with chaos. If you truly want to grow close to him, if you long to carry his fire, not just touch it, but carry it, then you must make space to listen, not just once a week, not just when things fall apart, but every day as a habit of the heart. The Holy Spirit is not looking for people who talk beautifully. He's looking for those who will stop talking just long enough to listen. Because while you're busy trying to fill the silence with requests, with apologies, with ideas and dreams, he's trying to fill you. But he can't fill a vessel that's already overflowing with its own voice. Sometimes the most powerful prayer isn't saying anything at all. It's sitting still with your heart wide open, saying without words, I'm here. I'm listening. And it doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't need the perfect room, the perfect music, the perfect mindset. All you need is the courage to be quiet, to turn everything off and invite him in, not as a visitor, but as the voice you trust above all others. And oh, what beauty flows from those moments of stillness. That's where clarity comes. That's where peace returns. That's where fear begins to unravel and courage quietly takes its place. You see, listening is more than stillness. It's surrender. You're telling God, what you want to say is more important than what I think I need to hear myself say. And that kind of humility draws heaven close. That's the posture of fire bearers. That's the position of those who move in sync with the Spirit, not just occasionally, but daily, because they've trained their hearts to hear his whisper above the world's roar. Some days you may not hear anything at all, not a word, not a feeling, and that's okay, because silence isn't absence. It's space for him to move how he wants, space for your heart to rest, space for your spirit to be reminded that being with him is enough, even when he says nothing. Because that's what relationship looks like. It's not always filled with words. Sometimes it's just about being present. That's intimacy. That's trust. And then there are other days, glorious days, when just one word, one impression, one nudge in your spirit will come, and it will change everything. One quiet whisper from the Holy Spirit can redirect your entire day. One soft prompting can protect you from pain, position you for favor, or lead you into an unexpected blessing. But if you don't make time to hear it, you'll miss it. You'll rush past the very thing your soul was crying out for, this daily habit. Cultivating a quiet heart isn't glamorous. It won't go viral, but it is vital. Because the fire of God doesn't fall on noise. It falls on surrender, and surrender often looks like stillness. It's the discipline of stepping out of your own head and into his presence, even when there's no agenda, no fireworks, no feeling, just faith. Just quiet trust. People will ask you, how are you always so peaceful, so wise, so steady? And you won't have a formula to give them. You'll just smile, knowing that it's not because you've mastered life. It's because you've made space for the Spirit of life to lead you. And he doesn't shout. He speaks in silence. So every day, set aside a moment to do nothing but listen. No music, no distractions. Just your heart, open like a window, letting the wind of the Spirit blow through. Let that be your holy habit, your secret place, your sacred rhythm. And over time, you'll find the fire you're seeking doesn't come through striving, but through stillness. The third daily habit is one that many overlook because it seems so simple, so ordinary, that its power is often underestimated. But if you truly want to grow closer to the Holy Spirit and carry His fire, you must learn to speak intentionally. Not just to others, but to yourself, to your atmosphere, to your spirit. Your words are not just sounds, they're seeds. And every day, with every sentence, you are either planting life or planting limitation. There is a sacred rhythm to how heaven responds to faith-filled speech. The Holy Spirit moves in alignment with bold, life-giving words. When you wake up in the morning, the first thing out of your mouth matters more than you know. When your eyes open and your heart is still shaking off the weight of yesterday, what you say in that first breath has the power to shift the entire course of your day, and the enemy knows it too. That's why he'll try to hijack your words from the start, filling your mind with defeat, with complaints, with doubt. But when you train your tongue to speak faith, even when you don't feel it, you light a fire that hell can't put out. You must speak to your own soul, even when it's tired, especially when it's tired. Tell your spirit to rise. Declare peace over your mind. Call yourself chosen, even when everything around you tries to convince you otherwise. Because when the Holy Spirit hears you choosing truth over fear, boldness over silence, praise over complaining, He draws near. The atmosphere begins to shift, not because your problems disappear, but because your posture changes. You are no longer reacting. You're prophesying. This is not about pretending everything's fine. It's not about faking strength. It's about choosing alignment. Your words must align with where you're going, not where you've been. If you want to be led by the Spirit, you have to start sounding like someone who is. Speak as if the promises are already in motion. Speak as if the answer is already on the way. Speak like someone who knows who they belong to. Every great move of the Spirit starts with someone who dared to say what others were too afraid to. Someone who looked at darkness and spoke light. Someone who walked through valleys and still spoke life. You don't need a platform. You don't need a microphone. You need discipline. You need the daily habit of catching every negative word before it leaves your lips and replacing it with fire. And the fire doesn't come from sounding spiritual. It comes from being surrendered. What you say in your car, in your kitchen, in your lowest moments, those are the words that build or break the bridge between you and the Holy Spirit. He listens. He lingers in the places where truth is spoken, even in trembling. When you declare, "I may not see it, but I believe it's working," He leans in. When you whisper, "I don't feel strong, but I know I'm not alone," He draws near. Those aren't just empty sentences. They are weapons. Every time you speak in faith, you're swinging a sword in the Spirit. This habit will change how you see yourself, how you pray, how you move through the world. You'll find yourself correcting your own language. Not because someone told you to, but because you'll feel the shift in your spirit every time your words line up with heaven. And when that happens consistently, you won't just carry the fire of the Holy Spirit. You'll ignite it in others. So don't underestimate the power of your voice. Your words have weight, and every day you have the choice to use them to build altars or dig graves. Choose wisely. Speak with fire. Speak with purpose. Speak as one who walks with the Spirit and watch how heaven responds. The fourth daily habit to grow closer to the Holy Spirit and carry his fire is *** obedience in the small things. ***, not the grand gestures, not the stage, worthy sacrifices, but the quiet, hidden, inconvenient yes, when no one's watching. That's where the fire is forged. That's where the intimacy with the Holy Spirit becomes more than a moment. It becomes your movement, your rhythm, your way of breathing. It's so easy to wait for the big calling, the spotlight, the loud confirmation, but the Holy Spirit often whispers in simplicity. He tests your heart not with fame, but with faithfulness. Will you obey when it's just a nudge in your chest? Will you turn off the show that dulls your spirit? Will you call someone at the exact moment they cross your mind? Will you give when it stretches you? Will you step away from what seems harmless but is slowly quenching the flame? See, we often think fire comes from loud worship or powerful sermons. And yes, those things are important. But fire is sustained in the furnace of everyday surrender. The Holy Spirit watches how you treat the moments you think don't matter. He watches how you respond when you're late and someone cuts you off. He watches how you speak to people who can do nothing for you. He watches how you spend your idle time, not to punish, but to pour. He longs to pour more of his presence into you, but he can't fill a vessel that refuses to yield. The truth is, some people will chase emotional highs and call it spiritual fire, but the ones who truly carry the flame, they're the ones who obey when it's costly, when it's lonely, when it makes no sense, and that obedience, it becomes fuel. The more you say yes in the little, the more you'll hear his voice in the much. And before you even realize it, your life becomes a walking altar. People won't just see that you believe. They'll feel it in the way you move, the way you choose, the way you love. Obedience doesn't always come with applause. Sometimes it comes with silence, with waiting, with letting go of things you thought you needed. But in that space, the Spirit begins to shape you. He burns away the noise and leaves only what can't be shaken. And that's where the fire starts to live. Not visit, not pass by, but dwell. So ask yourself each morning, not what do I want today, but what is he asking of me? It could be a simple act of kindness, a shift in your routine, a closed door, a humble apology. It could be walking away from something that once brought comfort but now dims your flame. Every yes you give is a brick in the foundation of a Spirit-led life. And when the storms come, and they will, your obedience will speak louder than fear. The Holy Spirit is not looking for perfect vessels. He's looking for willing ones, hearts that respond quickly, feet that move without hesitation, ears that don't need to be convinced twice. Because when he finds those hearts, he pours out fire that never fades. Obedience is where heaven touches earth, quietly, powerfully, and permanently. And when you choose it daily, you won't just carry the Holy Spirit's fire. You'll become the flame that lights the way for others.